LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav. That's Keith. He's back. He's been away on a holiday for 7 weeks, and that is Shawnee as well. What night is it? Thursday night. Thursday night, and what a Thursday it's been in Liverpool land. Look, last night it was all about Chelsea bidding £48 million for Romeo Lavia. That has since apparently been rejected. Everyone was all over the shop last night, and then this early afternoon, maybe today, it was like, oh, by the way, Liverpool are going in for Moises Caicedo. I had to have Keith on when I heard that name being mentioned because he loves the bloke. He loves him more than some of his family, I would reckon. But we're going to talk about it over the next hour or so. If you're here, and there is loads of you here, hit the like button while you're here. Subscribe, comment. Make sure you throw loads of comments in there. We'll read as many as we can. And hit the bell icon so when we go live, you will know about it. Keith, you come back after your holidays, and it's just been non-stop since you come back. This is all mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Look, we know it's silly season. We know it's Liverpool when they're involved don't do things the easy way, especially when it comes to transfers. And we've seen it all play out over the last few days. You know, with the whole Lavia thing, and into today with the Caicedo madness. Look, I love Caicedo. I've said it for a long time. I think he'd be perfect for us. I think he's the absolute dog's bollocks, and a player like him in with Alexis McAllister hits the ground running, in my opinion, straight from the off. Do I think we're going to sign him? No, but I think it's absolutely spiced up the transfer market, and I think it's sort of thrown, I don't know if it's thrown Chelsea a bit of a spanner, but I'd say it's maybe thrown a bit of a delay in them getting them signed and playing against us on Sunday. So look, we'll see how it goes. I've been out all evening, so I don't know if there's been any development, so you'll have to fill me in on this. Well, the last I'd heard was Liverpool were bidding but didn't bid, were inquired and were doing due diligence and all this sort of stuff. Has anything developed in the evening about this?
No, not really. You're about up to speed, I think, on that. The talk was that Liverpool were going to outbid Chelsea. The rumoured money was 90 million plus 10 million in add-ons. Then it came out that there wasn't a bid, but Liverpool were in talks. And in talks usually means how much is it going to cost before, and then we put in an official bid. And Chris Brack says Chelsea rumour is the next offer is going to be 90 million plus 10 million in add-ons from them. So this looks a bit like Chelsea and Liverpool going to head-to-head because two players being linked at the exact same time. So you're right where you're sitting at that. And that's probably the latest, but more could happen as we're live, so we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah. Shawnee, I'm going to throw it out there to you. I'm sceptical over all this. I'm being honest with you. Moises Caicedo has been openly on the market since January when he tried to go to Arsenal. Then he tried to go to Chelsea. Or one way around. It was definitely them two in January around the 70 million mark. He signs a new deal with Brighton because Brighton are trying to keep hold of him and get him off that £3,000 a week or something he was on. So Liverpool have known Moises Caicedo was on the market. The Romeo Lavia stuff just continues to drag on. And this feels to me like a bit of I tried or we tried narrative. And that's just, and usually, you know me, Shawnee, usually I'm optimistic, go and pay the money, and I would be going to pay the money with Caicedo, but we've known all this for so long, and we're sitting here on the 10th of August going, oh, that player we've known about 6 months or 8 months now, we're bidding for him. It feels a bit like we tried.
Yeah, it's like the bleeding Alamo last night, a Mexican standoff between Liverpool, Brighton, Southampton and Chelsea. the whole thing stinks to me, to be honest with you. But the one thing I do find weird is that Liverpool-based journalists are saying we didn't bid, and Chelsea-based journalists saying we did bid. I don't think it's smoke and mirrors. I don't know what's happened. It does look like Liverpool are serious about doing the deal. I don't think this is a case of we tried. I think they genuinely are trying. And Gav, you know me, I've been fairly critical of FSG and the approach that we've taken this window so far, but it does look like Liverpool are trying. I just think Liverpool now have a task of trying to convince this fella to play for Liverpool instead of Chelsea. I don't know what's taken Chelsea so long to wrap up this deal. It's very, very, it's like yin and yang. It's a complete, like this, the contrast between this deal that we've tried to do with Lavia and they've tried to do with Caicedo. That mirror images, like it feels like both clubs have known for weeks what the asking price was.
Yeah, it feels like both clubs are flushing out Brighton and Southampton. That's what it felt like earlier on the day.
What doesn't make sense to me is Chelsea's bid last night being deliberately $2 million lower than what they know Southampton want. Yeah. So I was kind of thinking to myself, look, like Bowley, like I think people probably paint Bowley as this fucking like Dr. Evil and Austin Powers and loads of money just spent. I don't think he gets football. I don't think that, look, the fact that his director of football's on gardening leave that he brought in from the Red Bull project would suggest that this fella is a fucking lula. And I know there was talk from stepping away from football operations. They've pricked about with Brighton. And I think Brighton maybe feel pricked around in terms of the Caldwell thing because it looks like it was done dirty there based on stuff De Zerbi was saying earlier in the window about I'd like to plan my season around having Caldwell at Chelsea. So I don't know what happened there. We've obviously done a deal with them already. All the report, like Paul Joyce acting the bollocks tonight, retweeting an article that was done by him on Caicedo about 6 months ago when the initial interest tonight is a bit of a weird one. Something is definitely going on. I think the outcome of this is worst case scenario. We end up just paying the 50 million for Lavia.
Yeah, I want to.
That's the thing with me. Like this hullabaloo. Like it's. Well, don't get me wrong. This is all a bit of crack on Twitter today. The memes and all. It is. It's a bit of buzz. It is. Like there's no. Like I'm buzzing off it. Going flicking through the tweets, seeing fellas on Chelsea channels having meltdowns, seeing Liverpool fans getting horny. The antithesis last night when fucking Liverpool fans were having meltdowns and Chelsea fans are like this. Like this will all become a sideshow for me when the football kicks off. But this is all a bit of crack now. But I don't think this is child's play from Liverpool. I just definitely feel like a decision is made on Liverpool's behalf where they think, are we going to go in and just give these fuckers the money for this fella? I don't think we'll have an issue agreeing a fee with Brighton, to be honest with you. I think the issue now is going to come down to getting in this fella's ear, see if he can get play for Liverpool.
Let me read out some stuff here, right? Carl Dalglish says, looks like it's down to the player now. Klopp spoke to him tonight if he wants Liverpool. Apparently the money is there already. There's loads coming in. Jono says, from Paul Joyce, Jurgen Klopp will hope he has the opportunity to speak to Caicedo and lay out his vision. This doesn't sound like a PR move from the club. And listen, I'm absolutely fine if I'm wrong. I'm just... and we spoke so much about this, might have been Sunday night, where when me, Shani and Emma were on, and I was saying the process of how Liverpool have done this summer is absolutely all over the camp, and it's made me lose a bit of belief in what they're trying to do. And this coming out now is kind of like, am I falling for this again? And you know, it's just like, we had a go, but it turns out the value wasn't then. Do you know what I mean? I will fall for it again. Like, do you know what I mean? I'll have me Caicedo pajamas on later. There's no doubt about it.
Don't be acting hard, man. You're nursing a horn there on you.
I'm not. I'm trying to find out where George Schmatek or whatever his name is.
Another article, by the way.
Yeah. But look, there's a few bits there with regards to it. I'll try to read out as many as I can. Pascal says 500 watching, 144 likes. He's getting in early. What a joke. Chat are moving like FSG, very stingy. Yeah, hit the like button if you want. But everyone is saying in the chat as well, like this feels a bit like smoke and mirrors, and how would that help us with Southampton? The reason why it help us with Southampton is Liverpool will go, listen, we have the money, we just don't value them at 50. So there it is. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or, okay, we'll pay you the 50, but don't go any higher than that, because we will go and sign another fella, and you can sit there. Because the chances, there could be a chance here that Lavia doesn't go to Liverpool and doesn't move at all. And then they're just sitting around waiting, hoping City give them that 40 million next summer. Do you know what I mean? Now, the chances of it are slim, but it's a bit like Chelsea bidding 48 for Lavia. They know it's not going to get there, but Brighton are sitting there going, oh fuck, this 100 million doesn't look too fucking secure. We thought we had them on a string here. And that's how it goes. But Keith, is there any possibility they try to do both of them?
I was only going to say that.
Because, listen, I think in fairness, right, and Shawnee's saying they are nose in the horn, right? If Caicedo comes through the door at Liverpool, I am over the fucking moon, right? In the sense of a 6. Like, I'm over the moon. I'm happy with Lavia, right? But we'd still be sitting here, and I said this last week, we would still be sitting here tomorrow night after Caicedo signs for Liverpool going, we need another one. Is there a chance to do both of them? Because Caicedo can be an 8, we know this.
Yeah, Caicedo can be anything we want him to be. Can we do both of them? We can. There's no reason why we can't. The whole thing for me, right, with you touched on it there with Lavia, people saying, oh, how can we afford Caicedo when we couldn't afford Lavia? It's never about whether we can afford them or not. We can afford any of them. It's what do we value the player at? What do we value this player at? Shawnee, you said something, I think was on Twitter the other day. It's either, if you don't value him at that price, he's not worth the 50 million, just walk away from it. And that's it. Like, Liverpool might have a value on him of, let's say, figure out in the air, plug 35 out of the air. You might think he's a 35 million pound player at his age, at this stage of his development, but with the potential that he has. And they're like, right, we can push this, but 45 is probably where we're really pushing it. And the 50 is that. That doesn't mean they only have 35 million for a player. It just means that's the value they place on that player. Do you know what I mean? So you have to differentiate one player from another. I think Liverpool, and if looking at the chat here, and like I said, I haven't been following it this evening. Shawnee said it there that Joyce put another article out. It seems to have some legs in this. If Liverpool go and do this one, there's no reason why they can't do the other one. You're looking at an outlay of 150 million. But look, that's madness just to say we're looking at an outlay. But one thing I will say is, Liverpool didn't just decide today we're going to bid for Moise Caicedo, so here's the money. Liverpool have a list of targets. They didn't do it because Chelsea bid fucking 48 million last night for Romeo Lavia. So this is all planned. It's all in there. They have money. They have targets. Maybe they didn't think they could get Caicedo, and they expected Chelsea to tie this one up before now. And they're getting some sort of encouragement, right? They're all saying Caicedo fancies Chelsea. They have to convince him to go. If he's got to the situation where he's having a little chat with Jurgen Klopp, we get this one over the line, in my opinion.
Game over.
It's game over. If we're at that stage of it where it's, look, have a little word with Jurgen there. Have a word with your mate McAllister. Have a word with the Lallana and Jimmy Milner there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems to me like the ducks are all lining up in a row here. And I think there's a possibility. Well, look, we've spoke about this before. We were chatting in WhatsApp today about it. Like, some of us don't think that there's a big rebuild there. Some of us think that might be. I think the money is there for Liverpool to spend on players. I think their biggest issue is always wages. So the overall outlay for a package. If you look at, let's say, I said, I think on Twitter, Caicedo is 100 million. He's probably going to want to be paid like £100 million player. So if you threw a figure, and I just plucked 350 a week out of my arse and worked that out at like 91 million over 5 years. That's a 200 million pound deal. That's without add-ons and bonuses and things like that. You know what I mean? But that's a 200 million outlay. And that's where Liverpool looks like, now, fuck that. We can get a player for 50 million. Romeo Lavia could give him 150 grand a week, and then you're looking at an overall deal of less than 100 million. So I think they always look at it like that. Where's the value? Not just in the transfer fee, but in the wages as well. So I don't know, until that in concrete comes out about Caicedo, I'm trying to not get too horny. but I'm extremely
I
hungry.
can't.
I know, yeah. Sorry, Shawnee.
Yeah,
Bruno
it's
Halloran says net
really-
spend of 43 million so far, I think. 150 million for the two lads. That's a 200 million net spend. And you see, right, Owen Conway says you're
I
off your
can't-
head if you think we get both. But what I'm saying is that we're
No,
still
well,
going to
can
sit
I-
here. We're still going to sit here and say
Yeah.
we need another
Look,
one.
I've thinking on it, right. I think if we do Caicedo, I think the club look at Bajetic then as the Lavia, as if to say, Caicedo and McAllister can play X amount of games in a season, and Bajetic will play the minutes that Lavia would have played had Fabinho had stuck around. Now, if Fabinho sticking around this is a direct replacement for Fabinho, whereas we would have been replacing Fabinho with Lavia technically, but we all know ourselves that it wouldn't have been enough. Now, Caicedo hasn't played that many more games than Lavia. He's not that much older, but we've seen enough. We have seen enough. And what I think would happen is,
I'm hanging everything on Keith, by the way. Everything on Keith.
This is completely this. Don't get me wrong. This is fucking completely hypothetical, and I realise that this time tomorrow it could be a fucking disaster again, and we're writing off the next season. But that's the nature of this show. But the way I see it going is, personally, I think if we do this Caicedo, I think they'll probably use whatever money they have left to buy a centre back. And then I think you'll be looking at your man Andre coming in January. That's how I see, and I just think, because I think Klopp looks at it in blocks and thinks, if I have now, obviously there's gonna be injuries, there's gonna be stuff that you cannot you need to legislate for that may or may not happen. So there might be injuries, but Klopp might feel he has enough to get him through to December, and he could throw this Andre fella in then and supplement the squad with that for the rest of the season. And I stayed up the last 2 nights and I watched the Fluminense game, and he was fucking class. He's
good,
quality.
isn't he? He is
He's quality.
Good, yeah.
He reminds me of Thiago, who's willing to kind of sit in front of the back forward. He's brilliant technically, great read at the game. I think he'd be a fucking brilliant player to get. I was actually sick when they went through, because it just meant that we definitely have to wait now if we are going to bite the bullet on him.
So your sort of feeling on this is that you bring in Caicedo, right? If that happens,
and a centre back,
and you look at a centre back and you say to yourself, right, we get through with that, because Caicedo was a magic sign. You get through with that, and you bring your man Andre in January, and that's your two to replace the two.
Yeah.
And you see,
because Gav, I think,
and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because I think if you bring in,
I really rate Lavia. I really rate Lavia, and it'll stick with me, because whenever I feel like a bit of a dickhead after the show, or I have a go at someone, I kind of always think to myself, I was putting my place there. I remember when the Bellingham stuff was called off and Keith turned around and I said, name a player that we can bring in now that's a game changer. And I was like, there's fucking none. And Keith turned around and goes, my Caicedo. And I turned around and I said to him straight away, nah, that's a load of bollocks. But then when I thought about it, I was like, do you know what? He's actually right. He's a really good fucking player. I think this is a signing that goes in the bracket of Virgil and Alisson if he comes in. I think he's that important. I think he's a transformative signing. I think it's like I seen someone say earlier. I seen an Arsenal fan say earlier on Twitter, go, I'm not arsed that Chelsea get Caicedo, because I know they'll still be shy. But if Liverpool get Caicedo, they're going to be right up their arse next year. And I do feel like this lad is fucking... Honestly, I do feel like this fella is a transformative signing. Now, I'm not becoming too attached to the idea, because it's such a delicate situation.
Yeah.
It could fucking change in the next 5 minutes. Embargoes are going to be up in 5 minutes, and there's going to be journalists trying to show you out all over the place. That's literally how delicate this situation is. But if Liverpool are serious about getting this fella in, I don't think it can be stated about how transformative this fella can be. We've seen him playing a right back at the back end of the season. We've seen him at the World Cup. We've watched games. I remember we showed that 5 yards crowd, and there was talk of this fella signing for United from Ecuador or whatever he was playing. And Keith turns around and says, this kid's going to explode. And United are passing up the opportunity, I think, to sign him for 12 million, Keith. Is that right?
5 million.
5 million. Yeah, I think, he said that this kid is going to go miles in the game, and he is. He genuinely is. He's the type of player that if he comes into Liverpool in 4 or 5 years, the Madrids and the Barcelonas are going to be sniffing around him because he's going to be best in class, and it's going to be up to us at that stage to be winning trophies. But I worry about that down the line. If we have this fella in that team, it's a transformative signing. Now, on the flip side, if we sign Lavia, I'm a massive admirer of Lavia. I just think he's way further back in his development, and he's a lot more raw. But his ceiling is huge as well. So again, like I think Liverpool for although as much as we criticise for not having a plan in recent weeks, I think one thing remains consistent. I think they will have a maximum value on a player that they just won't go by if they feel like the juice is not worth the squeeze. They obviously feel there's value in this Caicedo signing for close to £100 million. We've seen reports that they're willing to smash the transfer record. I think it could be one of the biggest contracts handed out to a player coming in the door at Liverpool for quite some time, and I'm okay with it. So let's just see how it plays out. This would be, and this isn't an opportunity to turn around and go, "Oh, where's all the fucking crybabies now?" This is par for the course. Don't get it fucking twisted. Yeah. This is the business we should have been doing when we were in Champions Leagues, winning Champions Leagues and winning league titles. This is the type of business we should have been doing. This is big. This is a big boy deal. I don't think. Out.
But I don't think this deal.
Don't get him or get Kilman or get Towson from Fulham. Get fucking another lad who can do the job there in centre back, and we'll go until January. The thing is with Caicedo is he allows you to play a box midfield. He allows you to be comfortable in a 4-3-3. He's a unicorn. He's that good. You know what I mean? He is that good.
He's an engine.
He is an engine. Gerard at number 8 LFC says, lads, if this happens, drinks on me and the ship and Moiter. The ship and Moiter do a Guinness and a bacon sandwich for a £5. I'm just letting you know. So we will be insisting on the bacon sandwich. Listen, if Liverpool go and do this deal, they have to be given credit for doing this deal. But I don't think it absolutely takes away from the criticism that they've got this summer. You know, I'll say it again. We look like we're on the verge of, if we sign Moises Caicedo tomorrow or Friday or Saturday, we still haven't got ourselves ready for the first game on the Sunday. And the criticism has to remain there. The criticism must remain there. Do you know what? The way you speak there, Shawnee, about a Caicedo coming in, a Lavia coming in, you feel like you need one more, right? A Caicedo coming in, you're going, I might get away with this till if you want to bring your man Andre in. And I think you're shutting down your midfield conversation for next year. I think you are. I think you're shutting down your midfield for, the conversation about what are we going to do about midfield. That allows you then to go and look at centre back, or if you want to do, it probably just makes you look at centre back and maybe a full back area in some way. But honestly, Keith has banged on about Moises Caicedo. I don't know if we've answered the question, do we sign both? Maybe the Andre stuff is the outlier here in January. But Keith, a lot of stuff coming out here in the chat, and it looks like online is that Liverpool are very serious about this. Somebody says apparently a bid has gone in from Liverpool at 9:30 tonight. I'm not too sure what that is. I'm taking that on face value in the chat there. But Moises Caicedo, I'm going to give you a few minutes to speak about him, because as Shawnee says, he brings you so much. But what do you think he brings? How big a signing is it? Because it looks like it's a massive one if they do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've all said it, and Shawnee championing it a long time. We've no legs in the midfield. It's, they were easily run through, we're easily got past. We just haven't had it. It's certainly not last season. And what Moises Caicedo does is he gives you those legs. Who said he's a unicorn? Shawnee, was it? He's 100%, because he can play. He's an 8. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder who can play in the 6, who can play fucking right back for you, who can do everything for you. But he's a forward-thinking player. Do you know what I mean? So what Liverpool are doing, if Liverpool were to do this and get this one over the line, you look at the midfield next season, not at the start, not against Chelsea. Forget about Chelsea. We have what we have for Chelsea. We are looking at a possibility of having Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, and Moise Caicedo in your midfield. Now, I said, I don't know if it was the start of last season or whatever, I would have bought Brighton's midfield three. Enoch Mwepu was playing for them at the time. Now, that poor chap since had to retire. But I was looking at them and I'm like, just take that midfield and build your team around that, because they're the business. They had a mix of everything, right? A mix of everything. And if we get Caicedo in there alongside McAllister, which I think would be huge, you're talking about two players who are familiar with each other, who formed one of, if not the best midfield tandem in the league. And we would have both of them together on top of a Szoboszlai, on top of a Bajcetic coming through the ranks, who could take the Lavia spot, on top of Thiago still being there to go in when we need him, on top of Curtis Jones being resurgent, on top of Harvey Elliott, who, there's been criticism of it, I think he has a position in that box midfield as
I think he's been excellent in pre-season as well.
He has, yeah, I think there's a thing for him. And all of a sudden, you touched on about the midfield rebuild. If you look at bringing in an Andre, that's done. Now, if we don't get Caicedo and we get Lavia, I hate that would be seen as some sort of failure, because Lavia is a good player. But this one would be the game changer. This would be the transformative one, because Caicedo is so good. I watched him years ago for Ecuador in the under-17 South American Championships. I think it was the 17th or the 19th.
Now, listen, I know you have done this, right? But when you say things like that, I just hear other people saying that, going, he's a waffler.
I sound like a wanker when I say things like that. I realise this. Right, I realise this. I sound like a fucking idiot when I say
but you had this is in the ether. You can go back and watch these shows.
I know, no, he's banging on about this Caicedo fella for fucking years. Like,
well, I watched Ecuador in it, and so Caicedo was playing, and Gonzalo Plata, who was in Belgium somewhere now, was playing.
He's gone to Saudi Arabia now.
Is he? He was at Sporting, I think, and he was really looking like a good player. Him, Sape and that were playing, and you're looking at them, and I'm like, this team is fucking brilliant. And Caicedo was just the one who stood out, and you're like, Jesus, he had everything. Not that he reminded me of Genie, but I looked at him, and I was thinking at the time, I'm thinking to myself, it's a Wijnaldum type of player in that Liverpool. You know, that metronomic midfielder. He's up, he's down. We were speaking about, who was it? It was the Zinchenko. I was talking to someone about the Zinchenko interview the other day. Remember where Rio Ferdinand, he's talking about who his hardest opponent is, and he said Mo Salah. He said he's a bleeding killer. But he mentioned in the interview that you'd be looking and you'd have Gini Wijnaldum in the corner of your eye being box to box, and you'd never notice, but you'd have to watch him. I see Caicedo like that. He makes them runs. He's an engine. He would, and that's not to do him with the service, by the way. It's not just that he has legs and he can run. He's good with the ball. He can score goals. Look, I think he'd be the absolute business for us, in the sense that I think it will transform our midfield. I love the business we've done, by the way. I love McAllister. I love Szoboszlai. I think this makes it absolute cherry on the cake. I think we'd have possibly the best midfield in the league.
I think like Lavia. I love the idea of Lavia at Liverpool. I have to be honest with you. I love from the bits I've seen him. I just love the way he carries himself on a pitch. He's not intimidating in any way, and neither does Caicedo. In fairness, a super chat from Marcus Barnes says Lavia he feels has a higher ceiling than Caicedo. How would Caicedo have done in that Southampton team, and what numbers would Lavia produce in Brighton's team? We'll never know. But I think they both have massive ceilings. Yeah. I think Lavia is just more established. He plays the World, or not. Caicedo played the World Cup, different things like that. Apparently, a £100 million bid is in from Liverpool now, and some South American journalists are saying a €115 million bid has gone in from Liverpool for Moise Caicedo. Shawnee, I'll go back to, and sorry, there was a super chat earlier, but I couldn't read it out because of the words that were in it. I apologise. If you want to go back and look at it, you can. It's to do with the Kardashians and NBA. I can't go into it.
Paraphrase.
But Shawnee, somebody says there, this is mental torture.
Yous are all mad cunts in the chat. Honestly, yous are all off the head. I went back and reading the comments that some people will be leaving on after the views are all. Yous are mad. I love the bounds. Yous are
spacers.
Even the ones that have a go. Yous are fucking great.
Listen, I enjoy the ones that have a go really more than anything else. But come here, Shawnee. A lot of people there saying this feels like a bit like mental torture. Social media is bouncing right now. So I think it was John who said that. But when all said and done, if Liverpool are trying to do this and it doesn't happen, like the world's going to go up in flames in the next 48 hours.
Yeah. And God, that's the danger of putting your hat in the ring for these types of things. I won't say unfortunate. I just think it's the lay of the land with both the Lavia and the Caicedo deals, is that the selling club like hold all the power in terms of wanting maximum value for the players. And again, like Brighton are getting a bit of shit over that, and it's coming home to roost now already, because your man Mohammed Jogee won't sign unless he has a release clause in his contract. So they're already struggling in that aspect, because players now, I'm not going to go there now. Not that Caicedo's being held prisoner.
It's stepping stone.
Yeah.
I think Caicedo's agent made a fucking boo by not negotiating his last contract correctly. Like, look at McAllister, for example. He had the out there. He wasn't held, because honestly, if that clause wasn't in McAllister's contract, you bet your bottom dollar we'd probably be still trying to sign that fella as well. Yeah, but like, that's why I'm not getting too hung up on this, because I think this is a fucking seriously fragile situation.
Do you think? I wanted to ask you, and it's come into my head. Do you think Chelsea have pissed off Brighton and Liverpool have seen an opportunity here?
Yeah, big time. It's definitely the case, because it was getting to the stage now where Caicedo's hamstring was pinging and he didn't want to play. And we were all thinking, is it my Caicedo just doesn't pass the smell test? This could be a case of his agent going, you know what, here, Chelsea are acting the bollocks and we want out, and look, he is available. And if Liverpool, if you were to believe Reddy or whatever, and Liverpool had discussing a structure of a deal, that would suggest that there's an inkling. You wouldn't be going into wasting your time in those details if the player didn't fancy this move. So
exactly. Not when it's so far down the line.
But more and more people are reporting here that this €115 million bid, including add-ons, so it looks like around £90 million plus 10 million add-ons, which will bring it around.
What I seen it, that Ryan Absett lad, who is worth a follow on Twitter anyway, he's pretty good. He's funny. He's been winding up Chelsea fans the whole window, but he does have a finger on the pulse in terms. He's been throwing stuff out all week, and he's always seemed to be like he was forced to the punch with the Kudu stuff in the terms of him wanting a release clause. He said earlier that Liverpool bid £95 million plus 10 in add-ons for Caicedo. He said that was the initial bid from Liverpool. Now, I just think we need to get this fella in a room with Klopp or on a Zoom call with Klopp. Yeah. I think this is going to be...
Chris Brack did say he's in Blackpool at the minute, and the Big Dipper's being closed until tomorrow evening,
I've seen it,
because there's a private function on.
They're all trying to do their jobs and all, and I get it right. It's fucking currency is clicks, right? And that's the way it is. Like, but yeah, man, Ben Jacobs is a bleeding sausage. Like, he's been going on about...
Is he the lad that denies everything?
No.
That's Andy Naylor.
Andy Naylor's my favourite. He'll always be my favourite.
Ben Jacobs was the one saying that Henderson didn't fancy him out to Saudi Arabia because he wanted to be in the squad for Euro 2024. And he's been one that's consistently said the whole time that Liverpool not interested in Caicedo. When nobody even mentioned Liverpool around, he was like, Liverpool are not interested. And now he's banging the drum that it's more likely to be Chelsea because the fella's in London at the moment.
It looks like Kane. John says Kane now choosing to join Burn, by the looks of it as well. Just that there's a little one thrown in there for you. Yeah, Darius with a super chat says, I really want both Caicedo and Lavia. If we can get to the two of them, and then them and Andre, and I'm asking a lot, we are back to just needing one player a window. It's a fair point. It really is. I think if you do a bit of business, you might sew up your midfield, because look at the age profile of it dropping all the time. Let me see. This is a great name. Another super chat there from Betty Swallocks, which I really like that name. He says, if we do get Caicedo, I'd love if he started against Chelsea. And I think it was Ant Mac 13 says, I would glue myself to the yacht of John Henry's yacht. I would glue myself to the anchor of John Henry's yacht if this doesn't happen, he said. Who wanted to go in there next? Keith, go on, tell us something.
No, Shani was saying something, was he?
What were you saying, Shani?
No, just must have been a lot of bollocks because I forget.
Right,
we're all
okay.
giddy, we're all happy. But no, look, the Caicedo thing, you know, maybe it is just to smoke out the Chelsea, but when you compare the two moves of last night, and if you believe the rumours that Liverpool have bid, matching the bid or having a bid accepted by Brighton, it makes the Chelsea move last night for Lavia all the more fucking weird, because Shawnee touched on it earlier and we sort of were saying it more ourselves. Like, why bid 48 million for a 50 million pound player when the whole problem was Southampton weren't budging? And that was, I know the fucking internet melted, you know, everybody went absolutely fucking haywire about this. But in the back of my head, it was always, why didn't they just bid 50 million? Like, what are Chelsea playing at here? And then you look at the Caicedo thing and they're acting the maggot there.
Are you trying to
Maybe
intimidate
teams are
Liverpool?
expecting-
Are you trying to intimidate Liverpool into making that move for Lavia to get them
to
off
get
the
off
back
the
of?
pot? It could be. But they go out and they just pay the release clause for Tyler Adams today. At Brighton saying, look, you are buying, you are throwing money left, right and centre for all these players.
They bought another lad
You
that they've
know.
sent back on loan out to France as well.
They buy loads of them.
Yeah,
Who was
but it is like, going back to that, and I think we were talking about it at the start. Chelsea throwing in that £48 million bid. If this Liverpool bid for Caicedo tonight is true and is actually happening, it feels a bit like Chelsea said, you know what, throw a bid in there, put the wind up Liverpool and make Liverpool go in and get this fella at the price that's being asked, and we go and we basically tell Brighton and Moises Caicedo, or tell Brighton, you've no other option here. He's no other option. Nobody else is coming in. Where Liverpool flipped the script here and said, oh, you're doing that, are you? Okay, we're going in now and we're putting £99.6 million is now the price being quoted in the chat. But 4D chess is always being thrown around at times. Like Shawnee, I'll go back to it. We've talked about the process of what Liverpool have done this summer. It may be an opportunity they've seen because Brighton have been pissed off, or Chelsea have pissed off Brighton. But can you see Liverpool going in there without, and if that bid is right, can you really see Liverpool going in there without getting some positive feedback from the player? Because I can't see them doing that.
No.
It's a PR disaster if they've done that.
Yeah, but you want me to be honest, Gav?
I always want you to be honest, Shawnee.
This would be.
You've just called Ben Jacobs a sausage, so I think you've been fairly honest.
Nah, but if this was Julian Ward and Michael Edwards, I'd be thinking, nah, they wouldn't be going in. But I genuinely don't know what this fella bleed Schmacker is on, to be honest.
He's on the fat frogs in a beat.
I don't mind if he's in Ibiza, to be honest. I don't mind if he's in Ibiza. That's neither here nor there. That's like saying Lavia, Caicedo signing for Chelsea because he's in London at the moment. Fucking, we live in a remote world now.
Well, Liverpool's offices are in London as well.
We've offices in London as well, don't we?
Of course we do, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't mean the LFC Daytrippers, because I don't want to put Gavin in a big tax hole here. So
don't worry about it. No, we don't have us. We do not have offices in Liverpool or in London.
When I say we, I mean Liverpool. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm just having the buzz off this now tonight, to be honest. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm just having a buzz off it.
Look, it's one of those days where it's all over the place, and we did know coming on here at 10 o'clock that some stuff would develop. Would develop throughout the day. Mem Crate with a super chat says he can do bits at right back, possibly the right of a back three, and push Ibu to the left. Saves Trent's and Robbo's legs. He's an absolute game changer. Woodsy says Google Pixel money, boom. Oh yeah, the Google Pixel deal. I was screaming at the telly yesterday, can Google Pixel play DM? I guess he can. So there you go, Woodsy. Listen, it's developed really fast, this, because literally, like Keith, you're saying you haven't been watching stuff because you've been on 7 weeks holidays, but it was one of those this morning where I was like, fucking Chelsea have gone in with that bid last night. That, like you said, that's weird what they've done there. But it was kind of like, if they've gone in, they'll definitely go to 50. They'll offer more money than us in wages, because we speak about that all the time. And it's like, what are we going to do now? And then all of a sudden it's like, bang, it's flipped on its head. and now it's developed, and what, 10:30 tonight, it's coming out that €115 million bid is in. We can't let this run on, Keith. This is either go in. If they've put in a bid, they've put in a bid because they've spoken to Brighton on a price, and they've definitely got positive feedback from Caicedo. You know what I mean? They're not going in there to go, well, we've agreed a fee, now let's go to Caicedo, because if he turns them down, it's a nightmare. But we can't let this run, Keith. This can't be. We're in saga territory already with Lavia, in my opinion. This can't run into 1, 2, and 3 league games or whatever it is, or right until the 31st of August. It just makes no sense to.
No, it doesn't. But I think you're right. Like, I know the talk is Liverpool want to now talk to Caicedo and get him, as you say, get him in a room with Klopp and have that chat. But they must have got some indication, because if we go back 2 days, right, and Liverpool are bidding for Lavia and Chelsea are going to close in on Moise Caicedo, and the world is still turning and nobody's having shy hemorrhages all over the internet. I seen that Chelsea deal as being near completion, and it was just a matter of time before it happened. For Liverpool to jump in on this now, they must have got an indication that there's something willing to be done. Now, whether that's with Caicedo himself, with his agent, or it could be with James Milner saying, look, he's not convinced. You know what I mean? It could be something along them lines, and Liverpool are saying, right, get the bid in. People are saying it's a bid that they don't want to get accepted, blah, blah. They know it'll be torn down. It's a PR and all that. That's a lot of bollocks, you know what I mean? But I'll be interested to see if it goes, because it seems to be developing. It's very interesting to see where it goes, because there's no way they're doing this with a player who's hard to set on Chelsea, who's, I'm going to Chelsea. Like Van Dijk when he was coming to us, it was Liverpool or nothing. What's up?
Sean Denise says, Jog snorting lines of coke in the beat and reading Ward's whole tea. Amazing.
You're having a great time.
If Liverpool have bid for that player, they haven't bid for him at 10:30 tonight.
No, that's what I mean. Or they haven't bid on it because a lot of fellas had a bleeding shit fit on the internet on Twitter yesterday, which people seem to think is the case. You know what? They read me tweet. They're bidding for it. No, that's not happening. Schmadtke is in a bit of I'd say he's in a bit of a no-lose situation.
Of course
he is. A 3 month gig, right?
Yeah.
He's not there. He doesn't have to be, cautious, right? They're dragging their heels over the Lavia thing. But again, we touched on that. That could be what they value the player at versus what's out. And they're like, look, it's just not the value that we want to play. But Schmadtke goes in here. If he upends the transfer window and goes and gets Caicedo and then gets the centre back in, he's positioning himself here to say, look, I'm staying. I'm the man. Jurgen Klopp trusts me. I get deals done. Or he rides off into the sunset.
I get that, but to be honest with you, lads, this I'm being serious again. Like, this is a lot of bollocks how this is playing out. If I'm being honest with you. Like,
in the press,
you can't let the fact that we're going in for possibly the best player available on the market detract from the fact that 2-3 days away from kickoff, and you had Klopp saying the other day, I don't know what my setup's going to be for Chelsea. Like, it's not good enough in that sense. That again, this just doesn't paper over the issue that we have, because you don't want this being a reoccurring thing in the window. Like, I still stand by what I said. A short-term appointment for this director of football, to me, stinks, and it's a lot of bollocks. Like, shouldn't be any fucking audition. You would trust this fella enough to give him the long-term hand on the reins, or the fella you're waiting for, you fucking go and get him. Again, while Liverpool, in terms of a director of football, this is basically fucking. We were talking about earlier this being a big game of poker. He's pushed all his chips forward now, going all in, and if he loses the hand, he's bollocks.
But this is what I'm saying. If Liverpool were in for Romeo Lavia at 50 million and they didn't want to pay the 50, right? Now, again, you have to go back to the club and Jurgen Klopp's prerogative. Are they going to bring in one midfielder and a centre back and maybe do that Andre thing in January, right? So we'll probably be arguing over that at the end of this window, right? Because not enough midfielders. But if that's their prerogative, that's their prerogative. We'll argue over it. We'll have difference of opinion, whatever it might be, right? But if they're in there at 48 and it's like, no, we want 50, right? 2 million or 3 or 4, whatever they're talking about, is fuck all. Right, But I can't see, if Liverpool have gone in with a bid here, they must have guarantees from the player to say, yes, if you can make that deal happen, I'm happy to come and sign for you. Because it makes no sense to switch from this £48 million player or £50 million player and go and double that to make yourself look like a fucking idiot. It makes no sense at all. You've already made yourself look like a fucking idiot over the last 4 weeks. There's no point doubling down on it. You know what I mean? And it's a no-win situation for Liverpool, really, if this deal doesn't happen. Because even if they turn around and say, oh, well, we bid and Chelsea offered them more and we couldn't match it. What? Would you fuck off? You had 100 million. Why couldn't you give them another 10 on top on wages? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
well, Gav,
there's a no-win there. But
right?
Yeah.
If it comes to this, and then we're going back to haggling over players, when you know, look, we're not taking this as gospel. Like, we still don't know what the crack is in terms of how much we're bidding. But if we're bidding 115 million for a player, I don't want to. If this doesn't work out, I don't want to see us skimp for the next 3 weeks of the fucking window.
Yeah,
get the best players you can.
But you must know, if you're putting 100 million on the table for Moises Caicedo, A, you must know there's an opportunity there because Chelsea are pissing off Brighton. And B, you must know some ballpark as to what he's being offered at Chelsea. Bear is reporting that Chelsea have bid 95 plus 5 million in add-ons and are offering more up front in the deal. That won't make a difference. If Liverpool, it'll all be down to the player. It'll all be down to the player because Brighton will take 100 million, whatever way you fucking offer it. It won't matter. They get the 100 million. And they don't need the money up front. They don't need it up front. Brighton are so fucking well ran that they won't need that money up front. Anyway, just quickly on tomorrow morning, because tomorrow, will Klopp's press conference be tomorrow, I think, for the game against Chelsea on Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah. So the timing of this for Klopp isn't great because Klopp's going to have to walk into that room tomorrow. He's definitely going to be discussing Chelsea. And the first question out of someone's mouth is going to be, looking forward to Chelsea on Sunday. Do you think you've enough midfielders, especially in the defensive midfield area? And reports are that you've bid £100 million for Moises Caicedo. Shawnee, again, it just adds to the weight of the argument that Liverpool have got the right kind of signals here on this. Because otherwise you're dropping Klopp into a press conference tomorrow that could be grenade central.
Yeah, but Klopp's not going to say he's not. He's like any other manager, he just refused to talk about someone else's fucking players. I don't know. I think the thing, like, this is it. I'd imagine by this time tomorrow we'll know the story of this. Because is it going to rumble on? How much are Chelsea going to pay? How much are we going to pay? The only thing is I'd be wondering now, like, it's kind of, if you're going back to Southampton now after being in for a player for X amount, is their asking price still 50 million? You know, because if this doesn't come off, we're even more desperate next week than we were this week.
I think if Caicedo doesn't happen, I think you fall somewhere between Lavia and Caicedo, and I think you're looking at something around 60 to 70 million. I think Lavia is off the table. If you don't get Caicedo, Lavia feels like he's off the table.
Yeah, well, a penny for Romeo Lavia's thoughts and all of this. He was having the squads and that, like that. A 19-year-old lad as well. Like that. Look, that's a side of it you probably don't see. Now, I'm sure he's not too worried because the lad has fucking ability to beat the band. I can't imagine he's going to be imagine what he's thinking now. Like, you'd have to imagine the dialogue that's happened in recent weeks between Liverpool. And don't get me wrong, we've acted the bollocks.
100%.
The 3 bids that we put in,
100%.
Absolutely.
But that's on. But again, that's on. But that's on the value you hold on a player.
I hate this shite. I hate this fucking elitist shite of Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, kind of going little old Brighton and little old Southampton. You can't fucking. Well, look, listen. Title winning, Champions League winning teams have built out the products of these players' academies and scouting systems.
It's not even that. There's Champions League winning teams out there probably that earn less money than Brighton, Southampton every fucking year.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. Like, don't get me wrong, these are the fucking lifeblood of the top 6. These are the lifeblood of the top 6 teams in England. You look around what's going on there with the likes of, you see Grealish at Man City. There's Calvin Phillips there, Man City, John Stones. Like, they all have to come from somewhere. Van Dijk, Rose, Mane. Like, they all have to come from somewhere. The problem is now, it's not like 20 years ago when United could turn around to Spurs and go, give me your best player for a fucking £15 million, or Michael Carrick. Give me Berbatov for X amount. Give me Teddy Sheringham. Give me Dwight York for X amount. All the clubs have money now, and they're all building squads of their own. So it's gotten to the stage now where the likes of Liverpool, United are going, right, well, who's Brian got lined up to replace him? That's who we should be signing, and they're cutting out the middleman. That's sort of what the Andre thing is, I think. I think the Andre thing is getting ahead on that. You can't have that fucking attitude that Southampton allowed me bollocks. Like, who do they think they are? It's their property. They took the gamble on Lavia. It's paid off. Much in the same as Brighton. We stung Brighton on McAllister. Now, make no fucking bounds about it. That's why this is a $100 million deal. That it's as simple as that. If we are serious about getting this done, wrap her up and get it done. The fuck. Don't leave it down to chance. Don't be getting into this shit. Like, that's it. Like I said, this is all a bit of buzz, Gav. It's the ultimate payoff if it goes well. But we'd be like bulls if this falls through. Because, like you said, I don't know whether we can go back to Lavia after this.
It feels like we're definitely valuing him around that wherever we're at. Right, we probably tried to lowball them a bit. We've gone in at 46, which feels like Liverpool are feeling like we're overpaying a little bit, but we're going to do it. And Southampton are saying no. If you're going up to 99, 100 million quid, it's then it's kind of, if you don't get him, where do you fall back? Bears just saying now. Paul Joyce says he expects Caicedo to join Chelsea.
That was from earlier, I think.
Okay, Keith, before we go, how upset will you be if we don't sign Moises Caicedo?
Depends on the reaction of the club. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't expecting to sign Moises Caicedo. Do you know what I mean? And it's just sort of come out an absolute bolt out of the blue. If we don't get him, I think there has to be a reaction. And that you have touched on there. There has to be a player that comes in that can, maybe not of that caliber or of that caliber. It has to be a good player that comes in. They can't be bidding 50 million for a young fella and bidding 100 million for a player and then not buying anybody. Do you know what I mean? We can't have that. And I think the season and FSG's tenure, I think, hinges on this, because a lot of people who may have been favourable, and I put my hand up and say I've been favourable to the owners, because to me they've tried to do the right things, but over the last few years I've sort of seen the negatives. They've not invested enough. I'm starting to question a lot of the stuff they're doing with transfers, and I think if they get this one over the line at a centre back, I think they've been good to their word to an extent. It doesn't change the way they've done it up till now, but it would go some way to absolving them a bit. But if they go the other way and we don't get a big one over the line, I think a lot of people will be sort of done with them. And I don't want to go down that road. Not me personally. I mean, I don't want to see the fans. I don't want that toxic. It's already fucking toxic. Don't get me wrong on Twitter, but I don't want that seeping into the ground. I don't want that Man United nonsense that goes on with the Glazers, where they're storming pitches and going down that road, because that's being normalised now. And I think it's an ugly look. You know what I mean? I think it's an ugly look, and I don't want that. But I think it's shit I got off the pot now at this stage. I think a lot of people feel that something has to be done, and I think Jurgen Klopp will want something done more than that now. So I think Jurgen Klopp wants to get something done. He cannot accept going in, and if he does, more fool him. He can't go in with no players there, or players that,
6
can name the
midfielders.
Yeah, and Curtis Jones was excellent at the end of the season, but he missed a lot of time before that and was out of form before that. So, we want to see him continuing that sort of development. But Thiago was not reliable, so we need to build. We cannot go in, and if we do, and it's down to Jurgen Klopp, and it's down to not wanting to settle for another player, then I think we're in trouble. But look, let's see what happens with this. Let's see how this dice rolls out. I think we get Caicedo.
Okay. Jacob Zimmerman says Liverpool are the only club who could spend 200 million on Nunez and Caicedo. Absolute trash transfers. I don't know where you're getting 200 million from, but let's leave it at that.
But I just say, no one was more frustrated with me with the Bellingham thing, but look at the numbers. of the Bellingham deal at Real Madrid. It's off the scale. It's like all in all. Now I get it. Jersey sales, amortization, whatever. Like his wages is fucking off the scale, ridiculous, scandalous. And I get that. There's no correlation here. But yes, like there's definitely not a correlation. Put it this way: if Real Madrid were interested in Caicedo tomorrow, we'd be out of it as well. So that's just when there's a difference between going up on Chelsea who throw money around, but fucking Madrid is a different ballgame. We've never competed. Any team in the world find it to compete with Real Madrid in terms of getting a deal done.
If they want something, then they throw everything at it.
But look what they're doing now without spending a penny with Mbappe. They literally have this fella willing to sit there for a year and not play football.
Yeah.
To go and sign for them, and that's literally the way that's the way it's playing out. So it's complete. I understand the frustration with Bellingham. Look, my advice to anyone would be: don't get too attached to this idea of fucking Caicedo playing at Liverpool, because who knows what's going to happen. Just if it happens, enjoy it. But the constant here is that regardless of who we sign, they need to get that fucking finger out.
Well, they do. And John made a point there. John made a point earlier saying it shows Liverpool have the money there to sign. You know, they could arguably go out and sign Lavia and another £50 million midfielder tomorrow. They could do it, no problem. Do you know what I mean? And that's why the process is, and what they've tried to do is fucking mad to me this summer. Sam Chatilla, and I hope I have that right, he says Florentino Luis is the next best thing with regards to midfielders. Don't know who he is. Lad's probably
he's the same age as me.
Is he?
Yeah, he's not young. He's 25 or something, isn't he?
The next best thing is
not 25.
Paulo Barco off Boca Juniors.
Oh, the ginger lad, don't you see? Shawnee's gone mad into it.
No, mad crack. Watching him last night.
Yeah, I watched that little clip you put up.
I'm enjoying myself here. This young fella is the fucking business. He's Madrid written all over him though. That's
the ginger fella at Boca. Look, it's been a mad day. We don't know where it's gonna go. Liverpool look like they're in for Moises Caicedo. The reports are that 115 million or 100 million pounds, 150 million euros or 100 million pounds, whatever way you want to put it, has been put in by Liverpool. There's also reports that Chelsea have gone in with the same and offer more up front. There's talk Chelsea will offer more wages, but if you're reading between the lines here, Liverpool aren't throwing that bid in because it's a PR disaster if they throw that bid in and they haven't got some sort of positive vibes from Caicedo's camp. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We could genuinely get up in the morning and Liverpool have signed Romeo Lavia and Chelsea have signed Moises Caicedo, and it was all just a bit of crack on a Thursday. We don't know. We're going to leg it. This will develop. This will definitely develop over the next couple of days. We'll keep on top of it as much as we can. Hit the like button on the way out if you can. Subscribe. Thanks a million for all the comments tonight. I read out as many as I could. And hit the bell icon for when we go live. Tomorrow night, the lads are doing a preview of the Premier League. They're going to look at loads of clubs and their transfer windows so far. Look at the fixtures over the weekend. And maybe do some predictions as well. We have got the normal shows coming from next week. We are over in Liverpool for the second week of the season as well. So we're bringing you stuff from there. And as many shows as possible going through the season. Shawnee, anything else before we go?
No, all good. All good.
Keith?
No, like I said, mad day.
No, I have a question.
What? Oh, sorry.
The 7-week holiday.
Yeah, 7-week holiday, yeah.
What was your music of choice?
Locked up for not paying me telly licence.
What was your music of choice?
Music of choice. No, do you know what? I was over... Obviously, I was on my holidays, and you know in the hotels and you get the entertainment to come on during the thing.
Do you be going to get up and have a go?
I got up, I got a few, done a
yeah.
karaoke and all that, done a few bits. Done bits while I was away, you know yourself.
Done bits.
But they had a Queen tribute band on, and I forgot how blatant great Queen were. Right. Obviously, Queen are brilliant, right? But you forget how many hits they have. And after watching them, I sort of delved back into the Queen back catalogue, but I like the 70s Queen. Do you know what I mean? I like a lot of the 70s stuff. Killer Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, fat bottom girls, all those sort of things. What's your Queen take?
Deadly.
That's it.
They're deadly, yeah.
What's your
Freddie
more do you-
Mercury is the GOAT.
What more do you want?
I want your favourite era of
Freddie
Queen.
Mercury.
I don't fucking know. I just listen to the. I just stick on Spotify. And,
Wembley Stadium, white wife beater, Adidas Sambas on, bleeding. The jeans with less tension and bleeding, Kharkiv than there was in them jeans. Belting out Radio Gaga, different gravy, iconic. Freddie Mercury, greatest frontman of all time.
Yeah.
Out the gap. If you disagree, drop a pin. I'll be at your door in 20 minutes.
No point disagreeing. Now, the Spanish Freddie Mercury that was doing the tribute show was bleeding hilarious because he was very accented.
Yeah, I've remembered something. So me and Shawnee were talking last night, and here's a little known fact for you. Terminator, Shawnee, you were telling us last night. Tell us about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell us what.
Right, yeah. Yeah, right, so now the way, like, in... This is fucking meant. This blew my mind. I mean, I started thinking, what would it translate to in all the other countries? So I don't know if there's any Spanish speakers in the chat here, but basically,
no. Keith only has English, Irish, and Romanian. Keith has.
Dabble in the language.
The original, I will say the original translation because it's an English spoken film. The catchphrase is "Hasta la vista, baby," which in Spanish
Terminator.
is Hasta la vista is see you when I see you, sort of thing. But in Spanish, the Terminator says sayonara, baby.
In the Spanish version of Terminator, he says sayonara.
So he says it in Japanese.
Right.
Now,
so
it
what
is
happens?
Japanese.
So in the Japanese version, what does he say?
Sayonara, baby.
But he's saying that in the Spanish version. I reckon in the Japanese version, he's definitely saying, "Get out of that garden, baby." Yeah. Like he's acting the bollocks and everything.
Version, he's saying, "Pat Ravda,
get the boat." Anyway, I remember talking to you about that last night. So we just want to throw it in there. So sorry about that. We get given out to for going off topic, by people who are very, very precious at times. So Keith is urging people to listen to Queen this week. Shawnee is just waiting to see what's going on with Caicedo. I'm still sceptical. The lads will be back with a preview tomorrow. We will be here on Sunday following the Chelsea game with the full-time Reds. We will be here that night again with the Fatback 4, and next week it goes back to...
Actually, Gav, can I throw you a football as well, actually?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Harry Kane is going to sign for United.
Yeah, well... It's reporting in the chat here tonight.
I think Spurs have had a fucking mare by accepting that offer by him.
Well, it's been reported here tonight that Harry Kane has agreed to go to Bayern Munich. I'm with you. I think Harry Kane's hoping a Premier League team comes in, the likes of United, or I don't know who else, but it looks like United will be the one. But they've just spent 80 million quid on a forward as well, remember. But listen, we'll have to wait and see. That has been no transfer knowledge for tonight, while we talk around Lavia and Caicedo and everything else. Thanks a million to Keith. Thanks a million to Shawnee. Thanks a million to all the people in the chat. Hit the like button on your way out. Hasta la vista, baby. Over and out.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.